My friend Sarah, whom I have known for years, showed up at my house last Thursday with 11 shopping bags. 11? She was beaming, talking about her conquests at the clearance sales, until she stopped at the entrance of my living room, looked around and asked, "Naomi, where is the rest of your decoration?" I smiled and offered tea. Because, when you need 11 bags to feel complete, maybe it is time to question what abundance really means. And when you need a lot to feel happy, maybe it is time to learn what the Japanese have known for centuries, that true sophistication lives in simplicity. I am Naomi Yamada, and this is Minimalist Charm. If you seek to live with more lightness, sophistication, and intention, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave your like. Today, I will share 10 Japanese minimalism habits that transformed not only my house, but my entire life. And believe me, they will solve 99% of your problems, both the ones you see and the ones you do not even realize you have. These habits were born from ancient wisdom, refined through generations that understood that true elegance is not in what you accumulate, but in what you consciously choose to keep. Real minimalism is not about being poor. It is about being rich in intention, the concept of ma, the empty space that feeds the soul. Ma is one of the deepest philosophies of Japanese minimalism, the joint conceptualization of space and time, or the interval between two actions or events, or also a spatial void. This happened when I understood that emptiness is not absence, but silent presence. Therefore, ma goes beyond the simple act of removing objects. It is about cultivating an appreciation for emptiness, recognizing its fundamental role in defining space and human experience. In my living room, there is a completely empty wall, and it is the most beautiful of all. This space breathes, allows the eyes to rest, and the mind to calm down. It is what gives visual respite to an environment, allowing each piece to have its moment of prominence. When I returned from Japan, I brought this concept with me. I realized that our American culture, so generous and warm, sometimes reflects itself in equally generous homes. But this is not always synonymous with serenity. A friend visited me recently and felt uncomfortable in front of the empty wall. She wanted to suggest a painting, a shelf, something to fill the space. But I explained that that wall was not empty. It was complete. Ma is the empty space through which all things can exist, and a unity within silence. Learning to value emptiness was one of the most liberating lessons I had. Wabi-Sabi, beauty revealed through imperfection. Wabi-Sabi is finding beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. Originating in the story of the monk Sen no Rikyu from the 16th century, considered the precursor of the tea ceremony, when the master shook a cherry tree and sakura flowers fell to the ground. It was precisely this touch of imperfection that brought beauty to the scene. My tea is served in a ceramic bowl with small cracks. Each fissure tells a story. Like kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken objects with gold, these imperfections are not defects. They are charms. Kintsugi proposes an approach to wounds and scars that could be useful for us to care for our wounds and repair our interiors as if we were a porcelain cup. This happened when I began to accept that not everything needs to be perfect to be beautiful. Therefore, today, I value the patina of time, the marks of use, the authenticity of lived objects. My dining table has some little marks. Each one reminds me of a special dinner, an important conversation. It is more beautiful today than when I bought it new. Wabi-Sabi relates to landscapes, objects, and even human beings. The idea can be understood as the appreciation of a beauty destined to disappear. Last week, a neighbor commented that I should renovate my table, remove the little marks. I smiled and offered tea in my cracked bowl. Because whoever does not understand that scars are more interesting than new skin has not yet discovered where true elegance lives. The practice of danshari. Danshari is composed of three concepts: dan, refuse; sha, discard; and ri, separate. This practice is not just about eliminating physical objects, but also about cleaning our minds of everything that is in excess. Every 3 months, I do a complete review of my wardrobe. I have maintained only 33 pieces that combine perfectly with each other for a long time. It is not about having little. It is about having enough and the best. Recently, an architect friend told me she was exhausted because she spent 2 hours every morning deciding what to wear. 2 hours. This happened because she accumulated too many options, but paradoxically had less freedom. When you take care of quality and reduce quantity, daily life becomes more fluid and elegant. Living here in Torrance, in the South Bay area of Los Angeles, I see how our consumer culture can overwhelm us with choices. But when I learned these principles during my time in Japan, I discovered that limitation actually creates freedom. My grandmother Akiko always said that having fewer but better things makes every day more peaceful. The 5 objects ritual, less to be more. In each room of my house, I keep only 5 objects in sight. 5. Not 6, not 10, 5. This happened not from an obsession with numbers, but because I discovered that when we limit options, we expand freedom. Therefore today, each object that remains gains presence and meaning, like actors on a stage without excesses. My walnut wood dining table is old and has only a small ceramic tray, a candle, a book, a small plant, and a bowl. Nothing more. It is like a musical composition. Each element has its function in the harmony of the whole. When you reduce, each object that remains gains presence and meaning. The first time I applied this, I learned that choosing few quality objects is more elegant than accumulating many without intention. Each piece in my house has a function, beauty, or a story. I prefer a single perfect porcelain piece over 20 mediocre cups. A colleague from work visited my house and commented that it seemed incomplete. I replied that it was complete. It just was not crowded. There is a subtle but profound difference between what is enough and what is excessive. The 5 objects ritual taught me to find this line with precision. Harahachibu, the refined art of enough. Harahachibu is the practice of stopping eating when you are 80% satisfied. But this concept goes far beyond food. It is about knowing when to stop. It is a philosophy that has roots in Okinawa culture, where longevity is high and obesity is rare. The idea is that by stopping eating before feeling completely satiated, you avoid overeating and help maintain a healthy weight. When to stop buying, when to stop accumulating commitments, when to stop filling every second of the day. This happened when I discovered that elegance is not in having everything, but in knowing when you already have enough. Therefore, today I apply this to everything. I keep my schedule with free spaces, my house with fewer furniture than I could have, my life with fewer commitments than I could accept. Elegance is in knowing when you have enough and having the discipline to stop there. I practiced this during a dinner with friends last week. While they continued ordering more dishes, I stopped at the point where I felt light and satisfied. It was not deprivation, it was sophistication. Harahachibu is one of the most liberating practices I incorporated from Japanese minimalism. It is about finding the perfect balance between pleasure and moderation. Furoshiki, reverence transformed into art. Furoshiki is the Japanese technique of wrapping using fabrics, but it is much more than that. It is a philosophy of care and reverence for objects. When I care for my things with this attention, they last longer, bring me more joy, and create less waste. It is a concept that applies the principles of motenai, the feeling of regret when something is wasted. I keep my small jewelry collection in a walnut wood box, each piece wrapped in silk. There are only 7 pieces, but each one has meaning. I prefer to have 7 perfect pieces that represent me rather than 20 that I use on impulse. Each piece is treated like a treasure, not just for its material value, but for the intention with which it was chosen. Furoshiki taught me that the way we care for objects reflects the way we care for ourselves. This happened when I realized that treating things with reverence transforms the everyday into ritual. Therefore today, even my clothes are folded with the same attention that one wraps a gift. I keep only 4 Turkish cotton bath towels, 2 for my own use, 2 for guests. Each one is folded with care, stored with respect. It is not obsession. It is a way of meditating through care. I cook with few high-quality utensils, like iron pans, Japanese knives, and artisanal ceramics. Each object is an extension of my intention to live with beauty and purpose. Genkan, the sacred portal between the world and home. Genkan is the entrance of the Japanese house, a transition space where we leave the outside world and enter the domestic sacred. It is more than an entrance hall. It is a symbolic portal that represents the separation between public and intimate, between noise and silence. I created this ritual in my house. Upon entering, I take off my shoes, breathe deeply, and leave the worries of the day behind. This happened when I realized I needed a moment of pause between the external world and my sanctuary. Therefore, I transformed the entrance into a small altar of calm. There is a mirror, a small arrangement of dry branches, and a soft light. It is where I reconnect with myself. I organized all my physical documentation in a single drawer, and the rest was digitized. But this goes beyond practical organization. In the Genkan, I practice what the Japanese call leaving the day at the door. I use only 5 pairs of shoes, each with a specific purpose. It is an arrival ritual that marks the transition between who I am out there and who I am at home. I go to the farmer's market every Monday, and when I return, it is in the Genkan that I make the transition between the energy of the world and the peace of home. A friend told me this seems too ceremonial for a simple entrance. I explained that this is precisely what makes all the difference, transforming the simple into sacred, the automatic into intentional. The Genkan taught me that rituals are not complications, they are blessings. Ichigo Ichie, the treasure of unrepeatable moments. Ichigo Ichie means one time, one meeting. Each moment is unique and will never repeat in the same way. This philosophy originates in the tea ceremony, a ritual that demonstrates countless subtleties and traditions of Japanese culture. No matter how much we can repeat meetings with the same people in the same place, conditions will never be the same. Conversations change, moods vary, and the surroundings are different because everything is in constant change. Therefore, I cultivate the art of being completely present. When I drink tea in the morning, I am not thinking about what I will do next. I am there, feeling the warmth of the porcelain, the aroma of the tea, the silence of the morning. Ichigo Ichie tells us that each meeting is a unique treasure that will never return to repeat in the same way. Therefore, we must enjoy it, or the moment will be lost forever. I apply this to all moments of my life. When I talk to someone, when I clean the house, when I walk in the morning, each instant deserves my complete attention. As Einstein said, you cannot do the same thing repeatedly and expect different results. Another way to achieve an unforgettable moment is to surrender and allow something new to flourish within you. Yesterday, while folding bedsheets, I realized I was completely present in that gesture. It was not just a household task, it was a ritual of care, a moment of connection with the texture of cotton, with the afternoon light. Ichigo Ichie taught me that even the simplest moments can be sacred when lived with intention. Kakebo, the financial ritual that transforms your relationship with money. Every Friday, I do my kakebo, Japanese domestic financial control. I practice this while serving tea, creating a calm and intentional ritual. It is not just about money, it is about intention. Each expense is a conscious choice. Each purchase is planned. Kakebo proposes 3 financial pots: needs, growth, and generosity. When I started practicing this, I realized I was spending money on things I did not even remember anymore. Now, before any non-essential purchase, I wait 30 days. It is incredible how 90% of desires simply disappear when you give them time. This happened when I understood that managing finances is not about deprivation, but about clarity of purpose. Therefore, today, I see money as an aesthetic and spiritual ally. My pantry has only essential items, but each one is of exceptional quality. I use everything completely, plan each meal, take advantage of every leftover. Kakebo taught me that abundance is not having much, but having enough of what is excellent. I use 6 glass containers with bamboo lids to store food. It is an exercise in practical gratitude, and I save a lot of money being creative with what I already have. A friend told me this seems like too much work to deal with money. I replied that it is exactly the opposite. It is work only in the beginning. Then it becomes a self-care ritual that connects me with my deepest values. Madanai, the sacred lament against waste. Madanai is the feeling of regret when something is wasted, a philosophy that goes far beyond sustainability. It is not just about food or objects. It is about time, energy, opportunities, unrealized potential. When I live with Motenai, I use everything I have completely before seeking something new. It is a form of reverence for life in all its manifestations. This happened when I learned that wasting is not just a practical problem, but a form of disrespect for what was given to me. Therefore, today I see each object, each moment, each opportunity as a gift that deserves to be honored completely. It is an exercise in practical gratitude, and I save a lot of money being creative with what I already have. I apply the concept of Harahachibu, stopping when I am 80% satisfied, and practice the 30-day waiting system before non-essential purchases. I have a wardrobe review ritual every 3 months, always questioning if each piece still serves my purpose. Last week, I saved a shirt that was about to be donated simply by changing the buttons. This is Motainai, finding new possibilities in what already exists. It is not about being economical out of necessity, but about being reverent by choice. Motainai taught me that true abundance is not in having much, but in fully enjoying what you have. I actively participate in local community life, help elderly neighbors, occasionally work as a volunteer during natural disasters. Because Motainai is also about not wasting our capacity to contribute, our ability to make a difference in other people's lives. The silent transformation, when less becomes more. When you apply these habits, something magical happens. Life becomes lighter, more beautiful, more intentional. You spend less time cleaning, less money buying, less energy deciding. More time remains for what really matters: contemplating, creating, connecting. The daily practice of the tea ceremony taught me that small rituals transform the common into sacred. This happened to me gradually, but the result was a profound transformation. Therefore, today, I wake up in a house that nourishes me instead of tiring me. My relationships are deeper because I am more present. My financial life is healthier because I spend only on what brings me true joy. I use the 3 questions before buying systems and the 3 pots financial system: needs, growth, and generosity. I live in a minimalist way, with emphasis on functional beauty, sustainability, and consciousness. I value free time as a form of investment and true luxury. I defend that financial freedom comes from clarity of purpose, not from ostentation. I see money as an aesthetic and spiritual ally, not an enemy to be fought. Japanese minimalism is not about deprivation. It is about refinement. It is not about having less because you cannot have more. It is about discovering that the less consciously chosen is much more elegant, more liberating, and more beautiful than the more accumulated without intention. I apply the concepts of Wabi-Sabi, Ma, Kintsugi, Motainai, and the Buddhist middle way to my life and finances. As Steve Jobs said, who was deeply inspired by Zen philosophy, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. It is not about having an empty house, but about having a house full of intention. Each object I choose has a reason to be there: function, beauty, or history. I practice Japanese calligraphy as art and spiritual discipline, because elegance is in the invisible details. Here in Los Angeles, surrounded by the constant buzz of the entertainment industry and consumer culture, these principles have become my anchor. My son Kenji has grown up seeing how intentional living creates more space for what truly matters: creativity, relationships, and inner peace. If you desire to cultivate a life with more lightness, sophistication, and intention, learning about minimalism and elegance in a serene and inspiring way, subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Each video is an opportunity for us to discover together how to live better, with more charm and less noise. Because after all, elegance is not about impressing others. It is about feeling at peace with yourself. Remember, you do not need much to live well. You need the right, the beautiful, what has soul. And when you find this, you discover that you always had everything you needed. You just needed to learn to see. As I learned in Japan, true wealth is not in what you possess, but in what you can dispense with without losing happiness. The Japanese have a proverb that says, "The flower that perfumes the most is the one that blooms in silence." These 10 habits are like silent seeds that, when planted with intention, transform the entire landscape of your life. You do not need haste. You do not need perfection. You just need to begin. Less is more sophisticated. Comment here if you liked the video and tell me, which of these habits do you already apply in your life? Or which one are you most curious to try? Let us build together a more conscious and elegant community, where each choice is an act of self-love and each kept object has a reason to exist. Until next time, with charm and lightness,